Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Monday, September 8th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Ohio game is in 5 days. The game against Michigan in 82 days. If you're planning your next event, make it unforgettable with Grateful Griddle, Columbus's favorite food truck, serving up smash burgers, gourmet sandwiches, and good vibes. Book your catering today at gratefulgriddleoh.com. The Buckeyes have had some pretty good vibes coming out of that 70-0 win over the Grambling Tigers on Saturday inside Ohio Stadium. Obviously not exactly the caliber of team you're going to face in the college football playoff coming on January or December, whenever that is. But still, always good to get a good win, always good to get a shutout. Today, you're going to get to hear a little bit about Ryan Day's thoughts from the game. He has a pretty good sense for what this win means, what this win doesn't mean, and what it might mean moving forward for the Buckeyes. So we'll start with just Ryan Day's overall thoughts on the game.
Yeah, we wanted to, like we talked about, be more explosive. You saw us play with tempo. That was good. The issues are always going to be there. It's just a matter of identifying what they are. There's no secret this was not a matchup game, and I got a lot of respect for Coach. And I thought, their team played hard in this game. They were outmatched, talent-wise for sure. And I think he expressed that, but I give them a lot of respect for playing hard and playing for 4 quarters all the way to the end. And so a lot of credit to how hard they played. But I thought early in the game it was good to get the ball pushed down the field. I thought Julian really had some accurate throws. The ball came out on time. The spacing and timing was good. The protection was good. Good to see the defense get some turnovers because that was an emphasis point for us to attack the ball. So we'll take a look at the film, and we've still got a lot of work to do. We're in a race to get better, and that's it. So, but I do think coming out of it, there was a lot of good things coming off of last week. Just, it was heavy, big groupings and running and huddling. This was a little bit more spread out and tempo, which it's good to know that we can do both.
Now, how about Julian Sayin? He was certainly one of the big stories going into the game and one of the big stories coming out of the game as well. 18 for 19, 306 yards, 4 touchdowns, and that one incompletion was actually an interception. So all that taken into account, and yes, it was just Grambling, but did this represent a step forward for Julian Sayin?
I mean, it is what when you watch the plays. There were some plays where I felt like we had guys, pretty open, and there was other throws that, it was pretty contested throws that I thought he put it on the money. He's one play certainly he wants to have back, but we were, as you could tell, we were pushing the envelope a little bit to see how he would respond and throw those because this is all for the first time for him, and no time for really learning on the job. We got to go. So we pushed the envelope, throwing the ball early and playing faster. So we'll look at it, but you watch it. You watch how quick the ball comes out of his hand, and you watch how accurate. Those were all positives for him.
The Buckeyes emptied the bench early and went deep into their 2 deep and their 3 deep, and maybe even deeper than that at times during the game. So who was someone who played this week, who didn't play last week against Texas, that impressed Ryan Day?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of guys that got in there on defense. Riley Pettyjohn seemed to pop for sure. That was a big play in the backfield, which was great. Aaron Scott drove on a ball. I know they overturned it, but that was still a great play. You have to look and watch the film some more on offense. It was good to see some of the tight ends get in there, but also see the young running backs run. I thought Bo and Isaiah both ran hard, and it was good to see them, break some tackles and get some positive runs out there. And it was also good, to get Lincoln out there. I thought he looked good out there. He looked poised. He made some nice throws, made a couple runs. And Bryson Rogers made a couple nice plays, I thought, catching the ball and hanging on to it, which was great. Milan had a nice catch. So it was good to see a lot of those guys get on the field, and there'll be a lot of things that the coaches will look to improve, but they deserve a chance to play, and it's good to get them out there. And the more depth we can build, as we know, it's going to be important. It's a long run this season.
Mentioned Julian Sayin's 18 for 19 day, where the one incompletion was actually an interception. Coaches love to have mistakes to teach off of. So is there maybe a part of Ryan Day that was just kind of a little bit okay with that interception, just to see maybe even how Julian Sayin would respond to throwing a pick?
Yeah, you never want to see an interception, but it's good to have some of these learning moments to understand, just how it all works. And when you can get some of these like first time things, behind you, it is good. But that's it. No more interceptions. Not allowed.
The Ohio State offense bogged down on the ground quite a bit against Texas. There was plenty more room to run against Grambling. So what did Brian Day feel like James Peoples and CJ Donaldson showed in the first half of that game on the ground?
I have to look at the film to see. I thought everyone was running hard, but what we want to see is guys breaking tackles and then creating explosive runs. And I think there were some in there. I think there's some other ones that maybe we can look at to say, okay, how can we do this a little bit better? How can we break some of these tackles as we're getting to the second level? But when you're a running back, you're not tackled a whole bunch in preseason. So, CJ's probably the most experienced out of the group. Well, he is. And then James, hasn't run a ton in a game, and Bo and Isaiah certainly haven't in college games. So it's going to be great to get on this film and use this as a learning experience.
Obviously, you're getting graded on a little bit of a curve when you're playing Grambling versus Texas. You're not looking for exactly the same kind of things. So does Ryan Day maybe find himself nitpicking a little more in a game that's an obvious mismatch like that one was than he as compared to maybe a closer game?
The issues are always there, and it's not about the result. So if we're looking at the scoreboard, we're looking at the wrong thing. I mean, this is about, like, if we have a discipline issue, or if we have a lack of execution, or we have an assignment issue, or a ball security issue, or a lack of execution, that could, in a matchup game, it comes down to one play. And so if we're going to look at the scoreboard after a game like this, then we're setting ourselves up for failure. That's really bad. I don't think that's the way our guys are. I think they know. And so, when you're not in a matchup game, you're going to get graded very critically because, when you are in matchup games, one play could cost you. Now, the good thing is we played a game like that already. So it's not like we haven't done that. Where in past, you get to about midway through the season, you haven't played a game like that. I think our guys understand that, especially the guys who have been around. I mean, you think about how we ended last year and how we started this year. I mean, these guys know. But all that being said, when you come out of games like this, you can't get a false sense of security because the issues are always there. And it's our job to identify them and get them fixed.
Coming out of that Texas game, it would have been very natural for Ohio State to kind of sleepwalk through the game, go off to a slow start. You've seen that years and years and years in a row, various teams coming out real slow against a wildly overmatched team. Penn State was up, I think, 7-0 at one point, very close to halftime, against Florida International yesterday, for one example. But was it encouraging for Ryan Day to see the Ohio State team come right out of the gates, go right down the field for a touchdown, and then really keep the pedal down, especially with that being such a potential letdown spot after Texas?
Yeah, I was looking to see if we had a letdown in practice. I think Tuesday there was a general exhale I was a little concerned about, but I think it was more the physicality of the game than it was guys feeling like we've arrived. I think they know that this is a long, long season. I think our guys look at last year and know that this is, it's a long road all the way to December and January. So we're nowhere where we need to be. I thought Wednesday we came back at an excellent practice. There was good Christmas to it. There was energy to it. And then I thought, our 48 hours leading up to the game was pretty businesslike. So that was a good sign. But like you said, you got to go put it on the field. And regardless of your opponent, you can see good execution. Whether it's, penalties or assignments, spacing, timing. I mean, there's a Christmas to anybody you play. I thought it looked right on the field. We'll have to watch the film and confirm that, though.
You heard Ryan mention earlier that they're trying to put more on Julian Sayin's plate this week. So what were the things they were putting on his plate, and how did he handle those things? Yeah,
you saw a lot more RPOs. You saw a lot of the things coming out of his hand. We actually started to drive. I think maybe we were inside the 10, 20-yard line where we took a shot early and hit it. Down in the red zone, we were throwing it. We were really forcing the issue down there. And, the more we're putting in his hands to manage the game. And I thought he did a nice job. There was one time where they did a nice job on defense of running to a coverage that there was nothing there, and he scrambled and made like 3 yards, 2nd and 7. That's good. That's good football. Didn't throw it into a crowd. I thought the first throw he made for the touchdown to Will was a really good throw. We talk all the time, if the defender's back's turned, he's wide open, and he 1-inched it right over the top of him, and Will made a great catch. But again, the timing, the spacing, all of that was crisp, and so we can build off of that.
It was a big day for the tight end room. Jelani Thurman, 3 catches, 44 yards and a touchdown. Will Kazmarek, 2 catches for 55 yards and a touchdown. Max Clare, Bennett Christian also had catches. What kind of a weapon can that position group be?
It can be a weapon for us moving forward. It gives us a lot more flexibility, not only in the run game, but also in the passing game, spreading you out, play action, and multiple groupings, which we haven't done as much in the past. We've been mostly 11. We've added 12 here, but now you're seeing us do a little 13. And I think we did, 21 today. And so we have probably more flexibility than we've had in the past with these groupings. And, they're all athletic and they all can do multiple things. So that gives us, again, more flexibility. So as we start to build what this team looks like on offense, the tight ends are going to be a big part of it, as you can see.
And finally, you heard Riley Pettyjohn's name mentioned earlier, but our buddy Tony Gerderman asked Ryan about him specifically. He obviously came into the game and made an immediate impact, had that scoop and score, fumble recovery. How does that play and his overall impact on the game maybe change how Ryan Day views him and what he might be able to be moving forward?
Yeah, you want to see how guys respond. Typically, you fall back to the level of your training. We talk about that all the time, but we've seen Riley in practice do some really good things, but you want to put him in a game to see how he responds. And when you see him make plays like that, in his first time on the field, it's a great sign for a young player.
Well, that'll do it for today. We will have much more coverage of the win over Grambling. We'll have some of those Ross Fulton breakdown shows, scheme breakdown shows for you this week. We'll also have a little bit of a preview of this weekend's game against the Ohio Bobcats. A nice intrastate rivalry. Should be another fantastic matchup of the marching bands as well. Should be a really fun Saturday night in the Horseshoe. Yes, you finally get a primetime game. It will be on Peacock, 7:30 on Saturday night. The Buckeyes and the Bobcats from the Horseshoe. We will be there for coverage of that, as well as coverage of all the other stuff you need to know about Ohio State football, covering the team, covering recruiting, covering X's and O's, and more, all at BuckeyeHuddle.com. We hope to see you there. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We will talk to you tomorrow.